H3H3 Productions is being sued by YouTuber Matt Haas, and as it turns out, despite neither being gaming channels, this could affect gaming content online in a major way. This issue links up nicely with the Where's the Fair Use movement started by Nostalgia Critic. This time around, I've got a co-host by the name of Welsknight, channel link in the description, and we're going to discuss why this issue should matter to you, whether you like H3H3, hate them, or have no idea who they are. Let's chat about it in the comments below, but first, our opinions. I'm Tarmack.
Welsknight here.
And this is Feature Creep. Here's the really quick history for those who don't know. H3H3 is a reaction channel primarily with other comedy skits along the way. I'm not a fan of reaction channels because to me it's non-content, but to understand what they do, essentially the reaction part of their channel is playing a video from somewhere on YouTube and trying to be as funny as possible while showing clips from that video overlaid on top of your own content. Interesting, right? Speaking over top of the copyrighted material and intellectual property made by someone else. Does that sound like any gaming channels you might know of? So, H3H3 did a reaction video based on a piece of content from a comedy parkour pickup artist channel run by a guy named Matt Haas. What Haas has claimed, and the basis of the lawsuit, is that a video done by H3H3 on a side channel of theirs uses his video without permission and is copyright infringement. It's as simple as that. To blend in some of the legalese, the infringements are as follows. The H3H3 video uses original footage from Haas. It adds nothing substantive to the material. It was published without a license, uses virtually all of the work, comprises the majority of the H3H3 video, and exploits the popularity of Haas for their own gain. Some of those are objective claims, which are incorrect, such as the claim it uses virtually all of the video and comprises the majority of the H3H3 video content, but otherwise, these are subjective claims. H3H3, on the other hand, claims that their video falls under fair use.
The important thing to realize about fair use is that it is a legal defense to allegations of copyright infringement, not a get-out-of-jail-free card. What that means is that until a case actually goes to trial and a verdict is rendered, a created work is not truly protected. An easy-to-understand example of legal defenses would be that of mistake of fact, which basically means that you held a mistaken belief that would have made your actions permissible should your belief actually have been a correct belief. For example, let's use mistake of fact as to age. If you're accused of, say, selling alcohol to a minor, you can't just claim you thought they were old enough and expect to walk away without any consequences. You have to actually present a case and prove, often in court, that you held a mistaken belief as to the minor's age and that your mistake was reasonable. That's what a defense is, and the same is true of fair use. In order to be able to use fair use as a defense, one must be able to actually prove why their specific case falls under a fair use exception, and, perhaps most importantly, the burden of proof is on the defendant, which means it is up to the defendant to prove their innocence by way of fair use, rather than up to the accuser to prove their guilt.
Fair use is a tricky beast, and it's a tricky beast that a huge number of gaming channels on YouTube use in order to support what we do. Myself, for example, essentially every piece of content that I do is specifically designed to fall under fair use. My reviews fall primarily under commentary and critique, as does Feature Creep. The news wrap-up falls under commentary, critique, and also, in some cases, parody. And even Let's Play channels have a potential argument for fair use. They rely for the most part on game developers giving an open license for people to make content with their games, like Mojang did for Minecraft. However, a Let's Play channel could make the argument that because a video game is an interactive medium, while the game may be copyrighted, the order and way that the player plays, along with their own vocal commentary, is unique to them, and enough to make their gameplay a creation that they own a copyright on. Now, for something as simple as a game like Dear Esther, this may sound like a stretch because all you do is walk around. However, a game like Minecraft, StarCraft 2, or Counter-Strike, the gameplay being created by the person making the video is far more substantive. The best analogy that I can come up with is this. Fair use for gaming channels like ours is like a great big beware of dog sign on the backyard fence. It's our defense against people suing us for copyright infringement, but it really only keeps the burglar out so long as they believe that we actually have a giant snarling dog waiting to take a piece out of their hide. This lawsuit has the potential to set legal precedent and show the burglars that it's just a sign and we don't own a dog.
Legal precedent can be either a terrifying or comforting thing, depending on which side of a lawsuit you fall on. Legal precedent is essentially a legal principle or rule established by the outcome of previous cases, otherwise known as case law. While there certainly exists a great deal of case law and legal precedent in regards to fair use itself, there is very little, if any, relating directly to fair use on YouTube. There is even less relating to fair use and gaming channels on YouTube. The H3H3 case is important not because of the people involved in the case itself, but rather because it could potentially set a legal precedent that would affect almost every content creator on YouTube. So, what exactly is case law? Essentially, case law consists of bits of legal history, court decisions and verdicts that current courts look back at and say, well, in this similar situation, the previous court decided to do X, Y, and Z. Case law is taken into consideration and often cited when making legal arguments in court, much like a college student would be required to cite sources for a research paper. To put it in the simplest possible terms, any case has the potential to essentially set the standard for other similar cases, especially if that case is unique or the first of its type.
So if Matt Haas were to win his legal battle against H3H3, we would for the first time to date have legal precedent on intentionally using copyrighted material, intellectual property, for the purpose of commentary, critique, and parody on YouTube. Yes, those who are keeners will know that we recently got a form of legal precedent from the Lens vs. Universal case with the baby dancing to the Prince song, but that's incidental infringement, not intentional, including copyrighted content like we use on gaming channels. What does this mean for YouTube content creators? Well, it means that anyone who wants to sue a YouTube gaming channel for copyright infringement can point to the Haas case and show that their case is similar. Channels that use game content for the purpose of showing off a bad game for comedic effect could be at risk here.
Channels that post their reactions to video game trailers could find themselves on the wrong side of a lawsuit.
Channels that do Let's Play content could be the target of a legal challenge from a developer like, say, Nintendo, who is already a copyright junkie of a corporation with how it treats YouTube creators.
Ultimately, gaming channels that earn their living on YouTube could find themselves unable to continue earning any sort of reliable wage, and that's probably the majority of your favorite content creators.
This issue is much larger than H3H3, Matt Haas, and even just gaming. One thing that I have found over the years, though, is that it's often important to show people how an issue can affect them directly, despite that connection not necessarily being an obvious one. That's what gets people invested, like when I talked about how the Trans-Pacific Partnership could negatively impact gaming. Make no mistake, if Haas wins his lawsuit, the inevitable fallout is that more lawsuits will come afterwards. Will there be a gaming-related one? Well, that depends on just how malicious some developers want to be. We've already seen some pretty heavy abuse of the DMCA, especially if you follow Jim Sterling. Listening to the H3H3 folks talk about their situation pegs the cost of their defense at around $100,000. At a cost like that, if I got sued for copyright infringement, quite frankly, my channel is over. I simply don't have anywhere near the resources to even have that battle, let alone try to win. This is the case for the vast majority of YouTube channels. We simply have to roll over even before the battle has begun, and all of that could happen because of some nonsensical legal challenge between two comedy channels where one rather clearly has no sense of humor and is incapable of taking criticism. It is worth noting that the smaller you are, the less likely an opportunistic company will try to sue you for a significant amount because you can't squeeze blood from a stone, but that doesn't mean that it won't happen. That, my friends, is why the YouTube community is up in arms right now over the H3H3 Matt Haas situation. That's why droves of YouTubers are doing videos on this. It's why YouTuber Philip DeFranco, a guy with over 3 million subscribers, set up a GoFundMe page to help H3H3, and it's why at the time of recording of this video, over $150,000 has been donated. I put a link in the description to that GoFundMe page. This is an important issue, and if you like watching YouTube gaming content, as I suspect you do if you made it all the way to the end of this video, it both can and will affect you if Matt Haas wins. Let's play a little game to close this up. This, as mentioned, could affect a significant chunk of channels, and most channels would simply be done if they got hit with a lawsuit. What YouTubers would you hate to see go the most, and why is their content important to you? Let's chat about that in the comments below today. I'd also like to thank Welsknight for contacting me and suggesting that we put something together on this topic. He's a stand-up guy who runs a family-friendly gaming channel, and that link is in the description as well. That's all we have to say.
Welsknight
and Tarmack out.